So this today's session really is around a little bit about talking about what we do if you don't know who we are. So I can answer questions about that, but to talk about looking after yourself in this weather and when, bad things are going down like they are at the moment in Victoria. And from the looks of it, there's also some pretty heavy rains and flooding up the top end as well. So Sarah and I had a quick chat yesterday towards probably the beginning of March, when all of this has died down a little bit. I will come down to Victoria for a couple of days to talk to people. I know that doesn't help you Alice or Pauline, because you're in South Australia, but I will. I am available. If you call our 1300 number, you will be able to talk to one of our therapists. You won't necessarily talk to me, but you will be able to talk to one of our very lovely, very experienced therapists. But I will be coming down to Victoria because of what's been happening. So with the flying foxes, the mass heat stress event that they've recently had down there, you've also got the fires, obviously, that are happening right now. So I'll be coming down for a couple of days. And Sarah, thank you very much for offering your hospitality.
Pleasure.
This thing will be with me doing her therapy, doing her job as a therapist.
Tully will love having Lizzie here.
Yes. So that will be probably late February, early March, that I'll be coming down to do that. That's already in the works. We'll post dates when I know that I'm definitely going to be there and when I'm going to be and where I'm going to be. Whereabouts are you, Sarah?
Just east of the city in Melbourne.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, I'll probably be sort of working in that sort of, I'll probably try and go to Healesville and places like that
northern,
while I'm there. So in that sort of like top east area.
Yep.
I'll probably pop up to King Lake as well and places like that.
I can be your driver.
I'm not far from King Lake.
Huh?
I'm not far from King Lake.
Oh, I've been to. I actually, the first time I ever went to King Lake was about 3 months after Black Summer.
Yeah.
So when the only
it's a
building
bit greener
left was
now.
the bakery. Yes, I'm sure it is. And the only building left was the bakery in the middle of town.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So yeah. So I'll do a little bit of that. But yes, Sarah, you're welcome to be my driver. But I'll also have my car because I'll drive down. So yeah. But I'm sure we can have some fun. With it all. But the main thing that we really need to think about is, and going back to your question, Pauline, around, when we get hot and stressed, we need to make sure that we're looking after ourselves first. So if we are getting overheated and we are getting stressed, we need to make sure that we keep up the fluids. We need to make sure that we keep cool. At this time of the year, in many camping shops and motorcycle shops and other places, you can buy these neck tube things. They're like an ice pack, basically, that is U-shaped. You fill it up, you stick it in the freezer. It's like a neoprene fabric. It's lined with like a neoprene, so you don't get burn on your skin. But having something across the back of your neck that's cool really does make a difference. I know that it's not possible to have that going like 24/7, but it's important that you do keep yourself in a good headspace. And that's why we're doing what we're talking about today, because you can't help other people and you can't help the animals if you're not in a good headspace and you're in what we call a high arousal state, which is where you're panicking, where you're stressing out, where you're not thinking clearly. So keeping that level head, doing everything that you can to keep level-headed, to be centered on what you're doing, is really important at times like this for yourself, but also for those around you. Now, some people naturally kick into flat affect, which is where you're very evenly balanced when the stress levels get high. If you are one of those, awesome. I happen to be one of those people, mainly because if you respond to trauma, have you all heard of fight, flight, and freeze?
Yeah.
As a response. Okay.
Yeah.
Generally, if you are a fighter, as a natural response, and it is a innate response. It's not something that you can generally make a decision to be. You can with a lot of training, which is how we, people run into firefights and run into fires because they've been trained how to circumnavigate that natural response. If you are a natural fighter, you will generally go into the level head planning, doing things that most people go, how are you so calm? And it's like, well, because I need to. So because you're fighting your way through that with that level head. If you are a freeze or a flight, which is where you run away or you just kind of freeze and you can't do anything, it's going to be very difficult for you to do the fight part because that's not your natural state of being. So you need to practice. And that's one of the reasons why RFS, SES, all those other, and they say, have a plan. Have a plan. What are you going to do? Because having a plan is the first step to being able to have something that if you do start to kick in to run away or freeze, you have a plan to go there. You have a plan. You don't have to think because the plan is there. You can follow the plan. When you have your little radio and you have your batteries and you have your passport and you have all your important documents in the box ready to go, that's part of a plan. So building plans is really, really vital at a time like this. If you haven't seen it, I4, so AIFAW, they have a whole pack that you can download from their website for evacuating wildlife.
Oh wow, that's cool.
They're also. I actually did that course not last summer, summer before. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yep. And they talk about it at every conference. Like every conference that they've been, like every conference I've been to, and I've been to four now over the last eight years. They've spoken about this planning document, and they're constantly updating it, and after getting feedback from people who have wildlife as well. So it's not a static document; it's a living document that they were constantly seeking feedback on. So if you don't already have that document, now it is designed for sanctuaries. So regardless of how many animals you have, whether you have just pets. So I've got it in place. I've got one. Stupidly, because I'm a bit unprepared for tonight. I don't have my copy of it right here, but I have it because I've got 3 pet pythons. I've got a cat and I've got a dog. So I use it for my pets, but it has enough space and enough planning that if you were to have a whole sanctuary full of animals and you had the time to do the planning, then you would be able to put that plan into place and get your animals out. Because it has everything in it that you need to be able to put that plan into effect, no matter how panicked you are, no matter how heightened emotionally you are. So you've used it, Leonie. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience with it?
1 minute.
When you finished a mouthful.
I'm going to be honest. I did the course. I started to fill it in. I kept it updated, kind of, and I haven't touched it for about 6 months. That's a fact. But that's what you say about how you can use it for. I'm a carer. I'm not a shelter. I can have anything from 2 animals into 24, maybe more. But it's very, very easy to use that way. But I would, if I had feedback on it, I'd say if they could come up with some kind of AI. So let's say, for example, that you're putting in, you've said you've got 3 pythons. Well, they might all be slightly different. They might need different medical things. If they can bring in some kind of element that will cover, the basics of a particular species, and then you can enter in the personal details, or like the personal issues. That would save a lot of time, and that is the only downside that I found. The biggest downside I've found with that program is if you have a lot of animals in, it really can take a lot of time.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's a great layout, and I can't remember. I think it was Rod or Rob. Rob from Eiffel. Rob, he was absolutely phenomenal, and it was a Zoom course. It was really good. I've still got it all, but I'll be honest, I haven't updated it, and I have a husband with 10 years CFA, and I've been a little bit spoiled, so I haven't had to worry too much about it.
How long does that course take?
It took a couple of hours.
Okay, cool.
It was literally, I think it was maybe 2.5 hours in total. Yeah. That was online. So that was, I ended up doing it just after we got flooded in the January 2022. Sorry, 2024. Yeah. So, but yeah, I would absolutely highly recommend it. It's got some amazing, really good points that you don't think about. Literally simply keeping either an extra set of basic medications, or at least having them all in like a list. Keep them in one spot so they're easy to grab, kind of thing. Thank you. But yeah, that's just a little tidbit anyway. So
no, that's great. I mean, it's good to hear some feedback from somebody else. And Rob would love to hear your feedback.
Yeah, I'll actually, you know what? I'm going to leave myself a note right now to say message Rob about that.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that now.
Yeah. I have put in the chat the blog entry that will just outline what you need to think about. So you can, if you don't have a lot of animals, you can do your own planning for it. But if you have a lot of animals, then I've also included the planning kit as well, which is the whole document, which you can go through and you can fill in. It's a PDF.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Having that plan in place is, I think it's almost it's like having a snake bandage when you go out into the paddocks. You do these things. It's that little extra bit of insurance for you, which therefore gives you a little bit of peace of mind. It makes a big difference. Heather, are you with us today? Are you feeding animals?
I'm here. I'm listening. I've got you on mute. That's all, so you don't hear all the noises in the background.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Yeah,
I'm watching.
That's right. You don't have to stay on mute. Up to you.
Yeah, you don't have to. But, yeah, it's just nice to see. It's just nice to see faces. Alice, Pauline, have you done any planning around animals moving or anything, or even just your own personal planning in case of an emergency?
Yeah, some of our bats are in what we call creche at the moment, and that's up in the Adelaide Hills. So some of us keep an eye on where fires are happening in the Adelaide Hills, and we've got sort of an evacuation plan for the bats in creche if they become endangered.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's written down, and everyone knows about it.
Well, that could be what we need to do, I think. So your blog entry might be very, very handy.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, having a plan in here is great if you're around, but if nobody else knows it, it can be a little bit difficult to follow through on.
No, that's fair enough.
I think especially when you're in a group too, like I mean, I've got experience with humans in emergency scenarios, and if everyone knows what they're doing, even if you have a card system or something like that, like that's your role, that's your role, that's your role, this person's in charge of coordinating, it does make it so much easier if you can, in the heat of the moment, excuse the pun, just hand those things out so that people can immediately switch into that mode without having to think, well, what do I do now? I mean, everyone's reaction changes too when you're under pressure. Hey, like we like to think that we're going to keep it all together and be calm and do what we need to do. But in any emergency situation, when you're stressed, it can completely flip that for some people. I'm like you, Frances. I'm very level-headed in that situation because I know that I need to be calm in an arrest situation or something. But some people just can't help it, and you've got to be mindful of those people. Hey, and
oh, absolutely. And unfortunately, Sarah, there's a lot less of us.
Yeah.
When you work in a space where you are constantly having to deal with stressful situations, you do get better at it. Like, I'll be honest with you, like if I was in my mid-20s, I would have been absolutely terrible. But over the years, I've worked in enough situations where I've had to be level-headed, to the point where when I got burgled about 20 years ago, I called the police, and the female police officer that came was like, well, you're very pragmatic and level-headed. You know, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. I said, I just need to do the report. I need to get everything things, because then I can, after you've gone, then I can tidy up. I can't do anything until you have done what you need to do, and then I can move on and I can do stuff. And then she said, yes, but it's very unusual that somebody in your situation, especially somebody who lives alone, is so steady and even-handed. And I said, what do you want me to be doing? Curled up in a ball on the floor, crying in a fetal position? I said, I can't do that, because there is nobody that's coming to help me. So I need to be able to do this so that you can do what you need to do, so then I can do what I need to do. I can fall apart tomorrow, day after, whenever, but right now I've got to be here right now. And she was like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, okay, do what you need to do. Because that's what I needed to do. And I did. I actually went and spoke to a counsellor about 2 weeks later, because I felt very vulnerable in my own home. But it took about 2 weeks for that energy spike of coming home and finding everything had been trashed to come back down again, which is an extremely common response when we experience things that aren't normal. So, you know, there is no plan for being burgled, except you're going to call the police and you're going to call the insurance. That was it. That was the plan. I didn't need anything more than that. But with bushfires, you know, like even in like I live, some of you may know, but I live in Canberra, right? So we don't generally get bushfires that are close. Like they're up in the Namadgi, they're up in the hills, they're in the Snowies. You know, we might get some to the north, but they're generally not in the suburban areas of Canberra. That happens, it has happened, but it's very rare. Black Summer, I had a fire plan. I lived in the middle of suburbia. I had all my documents in a box. I even went out and bought a digital radio with batteries. Didn't need it, but it gave that peace of mind. And what it meant was that I was then able to just go about my day, keeping an eye on things. So the other thing that we need to be really careful of when we're in a situation like this is that we don't overload on media about it.
We were just talking about that before too.
Yes. It's really important that we don't overload on media, because if we are constantly watching, we then become hyper vigilant. We can get vicarious trauma. We can cause sleep issues because, you know, and let's be honest, if we do need to evacuate, we need to be well rested. So we need to make sure we're well rested in advance. So by consuming huge amounts of media, what we do is we can interrupt our sleep patterns, we can interrupt our eating patterns, we can interrupt our rest patterns, we can get vicarious trauma by watching other people's experiences. It doesn't mean that they're any less valid. It means we don't need to take them on ourselves. We need to make sure that we're looking after ourselves again. It doesn't mean you can give yourself a complete media blackout, because that's not helpful either. but we do need to keep an eye on things. So for Black Summer, for instance, I had the digital radio on, but it would only broadcast if there was an emergency.
Yep.
So I had it on the emergency channel, which then made it, if I was going to need it, it was going to be on, because I had it plugged in. And then I would check it every day to make sure that obviously the power was still going because the lights were still on. So it meant that I was able to keep, in case of emergency, I would know about it, but it meant that I wasn't over indulging on the media from social media and the news and everywhere else. Does everybody remember after Black Summer, I think it was about 2 years ago, ABC did a TV program about Black Summer? And when they did the advert for it, the advert started with a siren.
Yep.
And we had when that advert for the TV show first came out, we had 12 calls on the first day that advert was out. Wow. From people saying, I'm being triggered by this advert. So I immediately, in my head, got straight into ABC and said, can you please remove the fire siren from the start of your advert? And this is why. And the next time I saw that advert, there was no siren at the beginning of it. So being aware of what it is for you, and you might not be aware until it happens, but when it does happen, acknowledging it, being aware of it, and communicating with people around you what does set you off, what does concern you, changing that with the people and the folks around you, but also editing the way your algorithms work within social media so that you're not getting that content that isn't helpful for you. Okay. I don't get much social media around fires, but I do go and look for it. Okay. So you can absolutely work on editing your algorithms. Okay. Usually by searching other things, like motorbikes. It's my thing. If I'm getting too much wildlife content, I search motorbikes a few times, and then everything's motorbikes.
That's a great idea.
That's a really good strategy for distraction.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you can, or anything. So crochet. If you just suddenly decide, okay, baking a cake, cake decorating. If you want to change your algorithms in your social media, simply use 2 or 3 search terms away from what you're getting too much of, and suddenly you'll get everything else. Ask for an insurance quote. Guaranteed way to change your algorithm. Seriously. Guaranteed.
For sure.
So you can edit. People are like, oh, my algorithm. It's like, yes, but you can change your algorithms very, very easily. So
awesome. I'm going to do that.
use the algorithm power for good, not evil.
Awesome. For a lot of people, this is not the first time they've been through this situation, having been through Black Saturday, particularly in Victoria, having been through Black Saturday and now this, even though it was 2009.
Well, you had Black Saturday, then you had Black Summer.
Yeah, but Black Summer was, we did, but that was more New South Wales. But the bigger...
No. You got hit really hard around that little cornery bit at the bottom.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Hit really hard.
Yeah. But I'm just thinking of the
hit.
scale of it and where it is at the moment. Like a lot of those people were in the same region as Black Saturday, and they'll be fearful of not knowing. And you know, so how do you balance staying informed with not being saturated and doing your head in?
If it's within striking distance, then you need to keep informed. If you are not, you do not need to keep informed.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I kept myself informed when I could see the fire line across Namaji.
Yeah.
I could see the fire line at night from my house. I kept informed.
Yeah.
At that point. All the time I couldn't, and it was not in the ACT. I kept myself informed because it was everywhere and you couldn't, but I actively turned off media, actively turned off the radio, actively turned off social media. I gave myself time. I also kept myself informed because at one point we couldn't actually see more than about 10 feet in the ACT because of the smoke. So at that point, you're keeping yourself informed because then you are at risk. If you are not in the zone, you don't need to. You can also, these days, I'm sure Victoria has an equivalent, but for New South Wales, there's an app called Fires Near Me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to work, is it? Hang on. Turn it right down so it doesn't. There's an app called Fires Near Me. Come on.
Yeah, I can't see it. It's just a white screen.
Stupid technology. Right. Oh, yeah, you can be able to see it now. Okay. So, where's it gone? Okay.
Yeah, I think we've got the Vic emergency app down here. Yeah.
So, at the moment, so that blue dot is me. So, that's like a 200-kilometer radius.
Yeah.
And there's one up here.
Yeah.
I don't need to keep informed about that. It's 200 kilometers away.
Yeah.
If I check this in the morning and it's 100 kilometers away, then I'm probably going to start going, oh, okay. And then I'll check the next day. But this is how I watch fires and check it. Because at this time of year, like when it's 37 degrees, I check this. We had a total fire ban day here on Saturday because of the weather. I checked this. I was driving to Sydney on Saturday. I checked this to see if anything was going to pop up on my way and stop me from getting to Sydney. This is how I track. This is a little bit detached. It's a little bit less emotive, which is what we want to keep it. This is actually a lot less emotive. This is like this is neutral.
Yeah.
And the other good thing about it is that it also has things like car fires and stuff like that. So you can keep an eye on it as well. I'm sure Fires Vic have an equivalent.
Yeah, they do.
But this is really all you need. So being informed, there are ways these days of being informed without overloading your prefrontal cortex with traumatic imagery.
Yeah.
Which is really what we want to avoid.
And there's so much of it at the moment.
Oh, there's so much of it. Yeah. Yeah. And not just fires. I mean, these days, I couldn't believe it when they were showing the video from Minnesota the other day, all over social media.
Oh, I didn't see it.
No, you don't need to.
Okay.
You don't need to. But I get a lot of news. So, but I've done my algorithm trick and now I'm suddenly being flooded with motorbikes. It's great. Well, because I watched one thinking, what's this? What's going on here? And I watched it and then suddenly everything was the same bloody video. So I had to quickly do the algorithm trick to get rid of it. Otherwise, I'd have just gone down the rabbit hole. Yep. So you don't need to engage in that material if you don't want to. And to protect your brain, to protect your mental health, you need to avoid the imagery if you can.
Yeah.
It's not helpful.
May I ask a question? Sorry, before just in case I drop out again. tomorrow, I mentioned earlier to Sarah, so this is definitely on what we're talking about. Tomorrow we're going to go into Seymour, do some bits and pieces, and we're going to drop into the release centre to sort of introduce ourselves and see if there's, just give general advice and maybe see if we can pop in a couple of temporary water stations, things like that. So knowing me, knowing hubby, he's got that button that he can switch. Do you have any advice? I know that we've talked about taking on other people's traumas and things like that. How am I best to safeguard myself? Because I do tend to be empathetic and listen. And like, I've been through a house fire, I've been through the 2 floods and things like that. How am I best to go, okay, this is who we are, this is what we're hoping to achieve, reach out, we can give advice, things like that, without coming home and just wanting to bury myself in a bottle of, well, maybe a bottle or 2 of wine.
So the first thing is, don't give advice.
Okay.
When you are telling people about your experience, keep it in the I rather than the you should or you could. Because if you keep it in the I, this is my experience, this is how I chose to respond. How what I did was helpful, was not helpful.
Oh, sorry, let me clarify. Sorry, advise on if you were to find injured wildlife, please call this or
yes,
kind of advice.
Okay.
That's what I mean, because I'm sure that I'm going to hear, with this and we saw this and
the trauma Olympics, right?
Yeah.
Okay, no trauma Olympics, and we can actually say that. So if you've got if you know you're going to get asked about who do I call if this happens, who do I call if this happens, type up a sheet tonight.
Oh, good idea. Yep.
Print off a few.
Good idea. Yep.
Print it big enough that if somebody wants to take a photograph of it on their phone, they can take a photograph of it on their phone.
Great idea. Yep, thank you.
The other thing you could do is you could create the same list as a text in your notepad, and you can just text it to people.
Good idea. Yep, that's good. And that way they've got my number as well. Yep.
There's three options there of sharing that information.
Yep. Thank you. Doing that. Yep.
If they start, that's what I'm here for. If they start doing trauma dump, the trauma Olympics, tell them that sounds terrible, but if you need to talk to somebody, call this number.
Yep.
Do a debrief.
That's what I was wondering. Should I have that, that kind of information for them too? Yep. Okay.
Start doing proper debriefs.
Yep.
I cannot emphasize enough how much wildlife carers need to team up with somebody to do proper structured debriefs.
Yep. Because
this trauma Olympics that you all engage in, and I do say all.
We do.
We absolutely do. You've got to stop it, because that's the equivalent of watching a video 20 times on YouTube. It's the equivalent of seeing 100 photographs. And scrolling through TikTok of an hour of content about a particular disaster. We are our own worst enemy when it comes to trauma Olympics. So, if you've got half an hour tonight, Leonie, do the debriefing course. It's half an hour debriefing course on our resources page. It'll cost you $40. It'll cost you $40. Do it with your husband. Sit down and do it together. Do it with your husband, and then you've both got debriefing, so you can kick into debrief.
Trust me, he has no issue whatsoever. He's CFA trained. He's got that button. He knows exactly what to do.
Yeah.
I, on the other hand,
that's why you need to learn how to do debrief, so that when someone starts to kick in, when somebody starts going, but you can go, hang on. Do you want to debrief this experience? Because I can debrief it with you. I can do it properly in a structured way. Because then you take the emotion out of it for them, and you take the emotion out of it for you.
Okay.
Because the issue with the Trauma Olympics is the emotion. It's the graphic retelling of a story. As human beings, we never catch a fish this big. We always catch a fish this big.
Yeah.
And every time we tell the story, it gets just a little bit bigger. Because we only learn from bad stuff. So every time we tell the story, we're re-embedding the story, we're remembering it, but we're also re-embedding it as a trauma story. So when we have people, and I mean, I do it all day, every day, right? So what I say to people is, I'm just going to stop you for a second. It's not because I'm not interested. What I need to know is what the story you are about to tell me, is it going to help me understand your experience any better?
You think you covered that the last time I was on? I think I remember that from there.
I said it at the conference as well. It's
Yep.
what I say. It's what I say to wildlife carers all the time, because am I going to understand your experience as a wildlife carer any better? Or can you tell me your experience in 5 or less words?
Yep.
Because as a wildlife carer, anyone can say something to you and you're probably going to have a damn good understanding of what it is that they're talking about. You know, I know I use the fence hanger as an example often, but I say fence hanger, and I bet every single one of you here knows exactly what I'm talking about. You know what that looks like. You've got a really good idea what it smells like. You've got a really good idea how shitty it is.
Yeah.
I don't need to tell you how hot it was and how long it took me to get there and the noises and because you've got all of that. If someone says to you, "Oh, I had a really bad fence hanger," thanks, that's enough.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell me anything else. That was shit.
Yeah.
Because you know it was rubbish. You know it was terrible, because that's never a good thing.
Yeah.
So we need to get better. It doesn't mean that you don't have empathy. It actually shows that you do have empathy, because what you're doing is you're preventing that person that you are talking to from causing themselves more harm by explaining it to you again.
Okay. Yep. Thank you. I'll take that on board.
Yeah, giving them permission to stop telling the story is actually one of the best things you can do for someone. Because very often people get in the habit of telling the story because they've been asked so many times, "Oh my God, what happened?" That's a curiosity question.
Yeah.
And as wildlife carers, we don't need to know. What we do, where we need to have our curiosity is like, "Oh, you did such and such treatment. How did that go? Oh, I've never heard of it being done like that before." That's where we need to use the curiosity. The curiosity doesn't need to be in sharing trauma stories unless they are so unique that other people can learn something from them.
Okay.
Which
thank you.
Is very rare.
True.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
Going back to Pauline's situation where she said they've had a heat stress event with bats in Adelaide.
You've actually had one, Pauline. I thought you said you had a crash.
No, the crate is just how we normally bring up our babies. But
right.
Yes, last week we had a pretty nasty heat stress event with a couple of days going up over 40 and then 138. So the poor old bats were struggling and we lost quite a few.
So, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was so traumatic for everybody involved that, things got quite tense and heated at times between some people. And I was just looking for some way of supporting the team that's sort of nearly turned on each other because of what was happening, and just
So
too hot.
How long ago was it?
Last week.
Okay, so we could do
Thursday, Friday.
a cold debrief call, a group cold debrief talk call if you want to.
So how do you deal with that?
What do you do with that?
Good, yeah.
Unfortunately, you can't. So what you can do is you can say, look, as we've all experienced this collective thing, and because it's within like 10 days of the event, we would like to do a cold debrief where we all talk about not what happened, but how we all worked together and how we cooperated so that we can improve should something like this happen again in the future. So we can learn from it, we can document it, and we can make sure that we work in more cohesion next time, and that everybody knows their roles. Okay, so it's not about, so debriefing isn't about assigning blame. It's about looking at and working with each other so that next time it happens, we've got a plan and we all know our roles so that we don't get into that situation again.
Okay? Yeah, a great instigator of Pauline was one of the ones who sent a letter to the president of our rescue org. And our rescue org, the president, is very into it. She's been in contact with a lot of us. And we believe that meeting is like they're going to try and schedule it as soon as possible.
So don't do a meeting. Do a critical incident cold debrief.
Okay.
Because what you have had is a critical incident.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to facilitate that for you.
Oh.
So that, because that's what I do.
Wow.
So that any of those people who are being assholes can't do it with me in the room, because I'll call them on it.
Oh my God, that would be amazing, because they're researching who and they're kind of...
We're here for. Don't stop researching. It's literally what we do.
Thank you. Yeah, they're kind of addressing it. We were requesting if they can address it as more of a...
No, it's a critical incident cold debrief.
Right. Yes, we were hoping for like a team rebuilder or something like that.
Well, yeah. it kind of is.
Yeah.
The whole point of doing this is it's a non-emotional space.
Yes. Great.
Okay. It's about facts. What went well? What went wrong? Who didn't know their role? Who would like to know their role better for next time? All that sort of stuff. Okay. It's literally what they do in hospitals after emergency department things. It's the same thing. It's a critical incident debrief.
Pauline's a retired nurse. That's why she's so good at instigating this sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's basically. So I'm happy to debrief it, because the thing about having the external is that people tend to behave a little bit better when there's an external there. Finger pointing gets called out. This is not a place to point fingers. I can do that much more easily than somebody who's internal to the organisation.
Yes, they were looking for someone outside the org to come and like not mediate, but someone who could help us to make sure.
Yeah, because it's not mediation. It's if you call it a critical incident cold debrief.
Yeah,
you're more likely to get much more. And then I can explain what it's all about, why we're doing it, what the outcomes, and I'll ask everyone, well, what outcomes do you want? We'll generally have them in mind in the first place. And it's all about so that everyone can find out where they're working, who they're working with, what roles they did, what went wrong. And it's not an emotional process. Emotions come into it right at the very end after we've done all the other stuff.
That would be so good, Pauline. Wouldn't that be great?
Heck yes.
And I do have time this week in the evenings and during the days.
Okay.
It shouldn't take more than about 45 minutes to an hour.
Right, cool. Let's get on it.
And if the organisation can pay me, that would be amazing.
Yes, I'm sure they could organise that.
That's fantastic, Frances.
Really appreciate the offer.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I've dropped the link. For our school, our online school, in the chat.
Beautiful.
So if you haven't been into the school before, what you do is you go in, you register. It's free to register. There's a whole load of free resources in there. And then there's a couple of paid courses as well. And the debriefing is one of them. You only need to do the $39 one, not the one that's $90, because that's actually aimed at therapists. So that's a bit more in depth, and it's got a test and everything at the end, so they can do ongoing professional development. Okay.
Thank you.
So the link is there.
I've got another question.
Yes, of course you do.
I'm just thinking of, subjects. So there have been a couple of people who have lost their sanctuaries in Victoria, or a lot of damage has been done. Other than the obvious of sending them a message, what is the best way to support them? Do you leave them for a few days and just let it all sink in? Do you get in touch immediately? Do you offer blah, blah, blah?
So in a way, this is a little bit like when somebody has a loss, okay? When someone has the loss of a loved one, the week between the loss and the funeral, everybody comes out of the woodwork. Everybody's cooking casseroles, everyone's helping out, everyone's coming around doing the cleaning, everyone's helping in that week. The week after the funeral, 50% of that drops off. And then every week after that, you lose 50% more. So by the time you get to like 3 or 4 weeks after the funeral, nothing, crickets. Okay. Which is why I'm not coming down to Victoria this week. It's alive. It's alive. Why I'm coming down in March, in early March. Because if I come down before that, no one's going to have time to talk to me. Everyone's going to be in the midst of it. It will be then that people will be wanting to actually engage and talk and have the capacity to talk to people. Because so late Feb, early March, because if I come down in the middle of summer, everyone's going to be worried about bushfires and their place burning down. So there's no point in me coming down too early. I mean, I'd like to, because I want to go to 1,000 lives as well while I'm down there. But that's a bookshop, by the way. And
how does one as a layperson approach this, or just a supporter?
As a layperson, keep your ear to the ground. Be aware of that attrition, and if you have their contact details, you can reach out now, but don't expect a response, and don't stop reaching out. Because in a month's time, the newspapers have gone, like, so Robin at the moment, she's all over the press, right? We'll use Robin as an example.
Yes.
She's all over the press.
Thinking of, yeah.
Huh?
She's one I'm thinking of in particular.
Yeah. But the press will have gone. The I mean, her GoFundMe is fucking amazing. I mean, seriously. I mean, I wish I could raise that kind of money in a shorter period of time for what we do. It'd keep me going for like a year and a half. But that's not gonna go far. That's not gonna buy her a new house. It's gonna help her survive, but she's gonna need help. You know, there are still people on the south coast of New South Wales living in caravans after Black Summer.
Malakuta as well.
Yeah. So, you know, hopefully she was insured, but probably not overly, because she was a wildlife sanctuary.
Apparently she wasn't.
Right.
Oh, wasn't she? Oh, shit.
No, I think,
there you go.
I think that was said fairly early on that she had no insurance.
That's right, because she can't afford it, because it's so expensive. And she runs a wildlife sanctuary. Exactly. Right. So that money isn't going to go far. She's going to need that support. Not now, not next week, not the week after. She's going to need it in 2 or 3 months' time.
Yes.
And that's the same for everybody. I mean, it doesn't mean that you don't reach out now. You make contact now, but you persist. Even if you don't get a response, you just persist.
Yes, because some people get quite offended if they don't get a response. And realistically, why would you at this time? You know, like it'd be so overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Is that where you would put something like, well, I don't expect a response, just so you know that I'm thinking of you, or we're here for you.
Yes,
and I will stay in touch, reach out when you're ready, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Reach out if one of the things I say, so I don't generally, like, I do make reach out calls. So as part of WildTalk, I do make reach out calls. So I don't have her contact details. But I will probably in about a week or so, I will send her an email through her email address, just saying who I am, why I'm making contact. We're here for you when you are ready.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I always say. Just letting you know I'm here when you're ready. You've probably seen me comment on things on Facebook, and I always say, we're here for you. You know, because it's reminding people that you're there. Because quite often when you are in crisis, it's not your regular people that are there for you long term.
Correct.
And it will be the people who you haven't spoken to or you've never spoken to that will give you the biggest hand up. But the important thing is, and it's the same with grief, that if you offer to be there for somebody, you've got to stick it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not expect anything in return.
Yeah, it's got to be done with some altruism, that's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't be doing it with expecting that you're gonna be best friends forever and all that kind of stuff. It needs to be very much, here you are. Here's a quilt that I made, because I know you don't have any bed linens. Here's a whole bunch of cutlery that I've got rid of. Do you want it? No. Oh yeah, and don't be offended if they don't want it either.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Because, some people like Robin, will be absolutely inundated with offers. And she will be offered, I'll be honest with you, she'll probably be offered some right rubbish that people are getting rid of. So it's entirely possible that she'll have a container full of stuff that she can't do anything with before she's even got a house.
Yeah. Yep. Seeing everywhere, please don't unless they specifically ask. And this is everywhere from Euroa. A perfect example yesterday, gent reached out in regards to bringing up some hay bales up from Mornington Peninsula. Right, so not quite sure. I can always forget the name of the sanctuary. It's an animal sort of rehabilitation sanctuary out at Yark. And it was on the news also. She lost her $3,000 worth of hay bales, and anyway, So this gent contacted Bushfire Rescue, right? You know them, Sarah. Yes. So Jody Blackneck, yeah. So Jody, who reached out to me thinking we could do it. No, we'll be fine. So we've got 2 bales. Anyway, long story short, okay, we'll put it to this person, and this person is actually distributing out there directly to go to that sanctuary. Well, in the time of maybe an hour and a half, not even that, 2 hours from the time that, it's definitely coming to, guess what? You can contact them and let it, it's going to be delivered today. They'd been reached out by Edgar's Mission and a few other of the bigger organisations, and she didn't need it anymore. And we found that so much yesterday, and we're like, okay, all right, that's fine. No offence taken. We'll find somebody will need something somewhere. But yeah,
I don't know if you've heard this story, but the koala hospital at Port Macquarie received so many koala mittens.
Yes.
In Black Summer.
It's like pouches.
Yeah, they will never need to put a call out for them ever again. Yeah. They literally had to buy a 40-foot container just to store the koala mittens.
It's like pouches. I don't know. I did not know a carer who at the moment needs pouches, different sizings or hanging bags, but no, we are pouches. Yeah. They make great cleaning mitts, by the way.
Okay.
They do. Like a lot of people.
They're great for windows.
Well, Leonie, I'll be honest with you. I'm out of kangaroo pouches. So
I will keep a heap for you, no problem at all.
The thing is, though, that
I only have one at the moment. So I hope I'm kind of driving along, going, God, I hope I don't get another one because I haven't got anything to put it in.
I will send some up
I hand
for
them
you.
off to the carer. I just give them the pouch as well.
Yeah.
So I've gone through my entire supply, and because I'm not a member of an organisation, it's really hard for me to get them.
I will get Jodie Blackney. She has got a stack. I'll ask Jodie very nicely to send some up. I'm sure she'd be rapt to do that.
On that note, right, there are lots of people who, like in Black Saturday, feel like they want to help, but they feel helpless.
Yes.
And they want to do something even if they don't have a lot of money, so they want to do something or make something. But I think it's important just to, like, it's amazing the support that people provide and that they want to get involved and do stuff. But it's important for people to ask what is needed.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's not a waste, because.
But I think so it's the ask what's needed, but also listen to the response.
Yes.
So a lot of people will ask what's needed, but they don't listen to what the answer is. So, or they get offended when they get told that they don't need anything.
Yes.
So, like Leonie, you've just said you don't need pouches.
Yeah.
There will be people that will read that and go, oh, well, I'm never making them pouches.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
like, yes, but the organisation that Pauline's a member of, or the organisation that Alice is a member of, they might very well need pouches.
Yeah.
So it's about asking, but a lot of people will go, okay, well, if they don't need they don't want my help that I'm offering, so I'm not going to offer them help again. And I think, but this is where we see a lot of interpersonal issues coming up within wildlife organisations, is that people don't listen to hear the response. They listen to get the answer that they want and that they're expecting.
And if it's not it, they get offended.
Yes. Now, the interesting thing is that being offended is absolutely a choice.
Yes.
So when people get offended, and I had someone say to me, oh, that's horribly, what did I say? I said something to somebody. I responded to something on Facebook. Somebody, I made a comment. I think you can all see it on the Herald Sun story.
Oh my God, I forgot to have a look at it. I need to go.
So on the Herald Sun story, I wrote, we're here for the mental health of all the wildlife carers who are being impacted by the current bushfires that are occurring and the natural disasters or something. And somebody commented under me saying, what about all the captive animals that burn to death? Right? Yeah, thanks, Alice. I know, right? So just for a little bit of backstory, I was lucky enough to go to a concert on Saturday night and in Sydney, and I drove home after the concert. So I didn't leave Sydney Olympic Park until nearly midnight. And I got home at like 3:00 in the morning. And then my body went bing at 8:30. So I was very tired when I made this response. So I rang Sarah and I said, Sarah, is this out of line? And she's like, no, that's brilliant. But
I would say that.
I did get a couple of private messages saying how offensive that was.
Oh.
Yeah. And I just wrote back, you're choosing to be offended. That's not my problem. So
good on you.
So my response to what about all the animals that burnt to death, Alice, I think you'll appreciate this if I can get I wrote, an army, including Robin, because this was a story about Robin's sanctuary, an army of wildlife workers and volunteers take care of injured animals across the country every day. Don't you dare try to lecture me on the struggles of carers and wildlife. I'm in no fucking mood for your whataboutisms.
Great response. Really
so
is.
I actually got 3 private messages from that telling me that they were offended. And I'm like, not my problem. You're choosing to be offended. You can care about more than one thing at a time. And I think that's also a really important thing for people who want to help, is that we can remind them that there are other wildlife carers that need support. There are other wildlife sanctuaries that need support, because the animals that Robin did manage to save have got to be looked after. Somebody else is going to now be doing that. Yeah. So you can offer help, but the really important thing is that you listen to the answer that you're given. And whether you like it or not, that's the answer. And we need to start being a little bit better actually hearing what other people are saying and communicating to us, rather than having an expectation of what the answer is going to be.
Yeah. And if someone says no thank you or I don't need it, that's okay. Good. I'm glad you're okay. So just move on to the next one who,
yes,
and
right.
It's also, there's going to be a lot of animals in the coming weeks who potentially who end up in care, and that's already started happening. So sanctuaries who are not near the fires or not, haven't, experienced anything like it are still going to be impacted by this. So they also need support.
There's also going to be, and I know this is what's going to happen, because it's happened every time there's been a fire since we started, is that once winter hits, we'll start getting the calls. They won't call us during the summer and while it's likely to happen again. But once autumn and winter hits, that's when all those people will start to fall over.
Yeah.
That's when they'll need the support. That's when we'll get a massive influx of calls, because we got it last year. We got it after the floods. So we get a little bit of an up during, mostly members of the public. And then we get those people either over autumn and winter this year, but we're more likely to get most of them next year.
Yeah.
Because people very rarely will talk about and deal with the incident within the first 12 months of it happening. It's only when next summer comes around, or the summer after, that we'll start, I can't live through another one of those.
Yes.
What am I going to do? I can't live through another one of those. When we have heat waves, we get an uptick. Because, so not this week, last week, when the heat wave was basically forecast that it was coming, we got a slight increase. We got an increase in Sydney, because we knew that Sydney was going to be absolutely off the charts. We got a slight increase from Victoria, because people are preparing and they're being triggered. We were talking earlier on about the triggering. They were triggered by the fact that there was going to be a heat wave, so there was a higher likelihood of incidents involving animals, whether it be heat stress events or bushfires, whatever. So they ring us in preparation to kind of go, I've already been through this. What do I do to keep myself safe for the next week and a half? So we see that slight uptick because they're almost preparing. It's the only time people proactively seek help. Every other time it's after the event. But we see it every single time. Whenever there's a big thing that's coming, we get this slight uptick in calls. It's not huge, but it's enough to be a whoop.
Yeah.
And you go, heat wave has been forecast. Total fire ban. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that, because people do watch it, and it's not always the things that you expect that are going to set you off. So ideally, it's never going to happen, but I can live in hope. Wildlife carers start being proactive about their mental health, not reactive.
Well, if the resources were funded, that would help, wouldn't it?
Wash your mouth out with soap, Sarah. That's never going to happen.
Yes, it is. No, it is. I'm determined.
Yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice. But
Heather, do you have any questions?
Yeah, me?
No, Heather.
No, I'm just listening. Thank you.
Okay.
Are we giving you what you want, Heather? We can't tell. We can't see your face.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm here.
The possum is beautiful.
Hang on, let me change it. No, I've been moving around doing stuff while I listen, but
no, that's okay.
No, it's trying to prepare myself, because like when we had fires around our place in back in 2002, I think it was, I find now, like you said, saturation on social media and TV sets me off.
Yeah.
So I'm writing down what to avoid and stuff.
Okay,
now.
so a little bit of neurobiology and a little bit of psychoeducation for you, right?
Yeah.
When we experience a traumatic event, everything that we experience goes through this part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex at the front. It goes in here, and then as we dream over the next 3 or 4 days, it gets filed in the appropriate place. Okay, obviously I'm simplifying this. It gets filed. So the outfit that you're wearing today, it's nothing special. It'll just get filed in outfits that I've worn. Okay, but the chances are, if you're married, you remember the dress that you got married in. If when you graduated, you remember the outfit that you were wearing. So significant things will also get filed, but they get filed in significant outfits that I have worn. Okay, so we remember it and it gets filed. When we experience a traumatic event, it doesn't get filed, it stays here. Because your brain doesn't have a filing tray for it.
Okay.
Because it's such a one-off event. It's something that doesn't happen every day. So then every time something like that thing happened, passes through, it kind of gets clustered with that thing because it still doesn't have a filing tray, so it just stays here. Which is why we get emotionally aroused so quickly and so easily by the things that we've experienced that are traumatic. Because the brain doesn't have to retrieve it from the filing system because it's right there.
Okay.
So when you do therapy, you get it out of here and you file it. So you have a lot more resilience. It's not like it goes away. It doesn't go away. But what it does is it takes it away from being fresh. It takes it away from being readily available to something that requires a little bit more effort to access.
This might be a stupid question, but is that like typically several sessions of therapy to do that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But I'm an EMDR therapist. I do it all the time.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking for anyone that wanted to do that because they're so triggered by this event.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or any other.
But you can also do it with things like EFT tapping. You can help it. It doesn't relocate it, but it reduces the impact of it with EFT tapping. You can also ease the arousal level with meditation and things like that. So they're obviously a little bit quicker and you can practice that very, very effectively at home. So there are ways that you can ease it. The only real way to properly process it, though, is to undergo a significant amount of therapy. But it's worth it because it gives the resilience that it will give you is significant, and you'll be able to do things like watch news stories about it. You'll be able to hear the advert for the ABC program and hear the siren and not be triggered by it, because because the reason why you get triggered by the siren is because that's what you heard just before this bad thing happened, because it's the warnings. It's literally the warning sign. So when you do therapy, you'll be able to hear that siren, but you'll be able to go, not my fire, and keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
So it puts it in the right. It basically puts it in the right place where it needs to be. So it's got to retrieve. So, we do have someone. Are you in Adelaide, Heather?
No, in New South Wales.
Oh, yeah, we've got a few people in New South Wales. Well, but whereabouts? You can either see somebody face to face, or you can do it by phone.
Okay.
And online, so completely up to you.
Okay.
But if you do call us, if you can say, look, this is where I am, and then if there's someone local, we can match you up with someone local if you actually want to go and see them.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I also understand that wildlife carers, they'd rather do all that shit on the phone while they can clean out paddocks while they're doing their therapy.
While you're having a consult.
I think there is somebody in Adelaide. I'd have to remember. I think we do have someone in Adelaide. If not, you can always do it by Zoom or by phone. But we have access to a network of about 1,300 therapists across the country.
Wow.
We only have about 24 that are actually trained in the wildlife way, that understand you. But if you're going for trauma related to something like a bushfire or something like that, you could see any trauma therapist, because they would have experience of working with that. The only reason we have the wildlife people is so that you don't have to explain the wildlife language. But something like bushfire and something like that, any of the trauma therapists would be okay. It's only, and then if you're prepared to explain some of the animal stuff, you can see anyone. But the reason why we are the specialist wildlife service is because all of the therapists that are WildTalk therapists within that network all have an understanding of the wildlife language. So you don't have to explain things like fence hanger, heat stress event, Joey, mange, that sort of stuff. Because there's nothing worse than if you're in trauma and you're talking to your therapist and they go, "Oh, what's that then?" And you have to break it out of where you are and explain it.
Yeah.
Re-traumatize yourself with the explanation.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I've made a point of making sure that everybody who works with us, like I'll use the heat stress event as an example. If somebody says a heat stress event, they don't have to then explain it, because that therapist already has an understanding, because I've explained it to them what that smells like, sounds like, everything, and they know how awful that is. So that's why we specialize in what we do, because I don't want you to have to explain any of that stuff, because I know how awful it is, because I've done quite a lot of it myself.
Love it.
And
thanks, Frances.
I still do. There's nothing quite like checking a pouch on a kangaroo on the side of the road when it's been 42 degrees that day. Yeah. So I get it.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's why I'm so passionate about what I do. And one of the reasons why somebody said to me, "Why do you call them your wildlife carers?" And I'm like, because they are. And every one of them is.
Does anyone else have any questions? Pauline, Alice, any more questions or anything you want to bring up?
Did you get everything you wanted? We've got like 5 minutes left to do it for 90 minutes.
Yeah, we would love to find out if there's someone that could do wildlife stuff in Adelaide for us.
Yeah.
But if not,
so the best thing to do, Pauline, is to just ring the 1300 number and tell them you're in Adelaide, and if there's somebody in Adelaide, then you'd love to see them.
Okay, we'll do.
Don't do it now though, because I'll get charged evening rates. If you can wait for office hours, that would be awesome.
Righto, we'll do.
We get charged evening rates when people ring at 2:00 in the morning just to see if the phone line actually is available 24/7.
Just for fun.
Yes.
Is there some other 1300 number you can call? Or 1-800, whatever.
Yes, 1300 WildTalk is available 24/7.
Yeah.
But if you ring at 2:00 in the morning just to check that we're actually 24/7, like we say we are, we still have to pay for it. because you've woken somebody up in the middle of the night.
Hopefully that doesn't happen often. God.
It doesn't happen as much as it used to, but in the first sort of 18 months that we were open, it would happen at least once a week.
Wow.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. All right.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, any other questions, feel free. You can always contact me. You've got my email address, info. You can send me a private message through the Facebook page. Happy to answer any questions that you might have. And
or you can have an unrelated question now. That's fine. Doesn't have to be about the topic.
No. And Pauline, if you do think that that's a good idea for doing a debrief with everybody after a critical incident, just send me an email at info@wildtalk.org.au.
Yeah, I'll talk to our chairperson and might even try and get it organised, but I'll talk to her tomorrow.
Brilliant.
Or if you can call me as well. So yeah.
Okay, no worries. Thanks.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'll stop recording. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And we'll put this up. If everyone's okay with it still, I'll put it up on the Facebook so that other
Heather,
people can watch it
sitting
later.
in the dark and showing us your face.
Oh, that's all right.
No, that was some great info, Frances.
Thank you, Frances. Yeah, that was terrific.